Human rights are universal, but how these rights are protected often varies depending on where you live. There are three key regional courts designed to ensure that human rights are upheld: the African Court on Human and People's Rights, the European Court of Human Rights, and the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. Each court has its own structure and approach to protecting rights of citizens across their respective continents. Let's start with the African Court on Human and People's Rights. Established in 2004, the African Court is headquartered in Arusha, Tanzania, and serves as the judicial arm of the African Union, dedicated to upholding the human and people's rights enshrined in the African Charter. The court accepts cases from individuals, states, and non-governmental organizations, but only when the state in question has ratified the protocol establishing the court and explicitly accepted its jurisdiction. States in red have accepted cases to be brought by individuals and NGOs, and the pink states have accepted the protocol and state jurisdiction. One of the African Court's unique features is its recognition of collective rights, rights that apply to groups, not just individuals. This includes the rights of communities, particularly indigenous peoples, and land and cultural preservation. Now let's turn to European Court of Human Rights. Founded in 1959 and based in Strasbourg, France, the ECtHR is the judicial body tasked with enforcing the European Convention on Human Rights. This court is unique because any individual from one of the 46 member states of the Council of Europe can directly submit a complaint. The European Court has set an example for direct access to justice. If all domestic remedies in a country are exhausted, citizens can appeal their case to the ECtHR. This has led to landmark rulings on issues such as privacy, freedom of expression, and the right to a fair trial. Moving to the Americas, we have the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. Created in 1979, this court upholds the rights outlined in the American Convention on Human Rights. Headquartered in San Jose, Costa Rica, it covers 35 states in the Americas, although only 23 have accepted its jurisdiction. Similarly to the African Court, the Inter-American Court addresses both individual complaints and human rights violations against groups, especially indigenous peoples and marginalized communities. It has been influential in securing rulings on indigenous land rights, forced disappearances, and cases of gender-based violence. Now that we have explored the three courts, let's compare how they work. The European Court of Human Rights is the most accessible, allowing any individual from member states to directly file complaints after national remedies are exhausted. In contrast, both the African and Inter-American courts require states to first accept the court's jurisdiction and, in some cases, the individual's right to directly petition. However, the African and Inter-American systems both place a strong emphasis on group and collective rights, particularly in cases involving indigenous peoples and other vulnerable groups, while the European system has traditionally focused more on individual rights. Another key difference is enforcement. In Europe, states generally comply with the court's rulings due to a separate body, the Council of Ministers, which supervises the execution of ECtHR judgments. Meanwhile, in Africa and the Americas, enforcement can be challenging, especially where political instability or weak legal institutions limit state compliance. Regional human rights courts fill the gaps that national systems sometimes cannot. They provide an additional layer of protection when domestic courts fail or when governments infringe on the rights of their citizens. But these courts also face challenges, such as limited resources and the reluctance of some states to fully cooperate. Despite these obstacles, the African Court on Human and People's Rights, the European Court of Human Rights, and the Inter-American Court of Human Rights remain essential institutions. They remind us that justice transcends borders and that human rights are truly universal. As long as these courts exist, individuals and communities across continents have a place to turn for justice when it's most needed.